we have the pro-Flash, anti-Flash crowd. And now the wave was very pro-Flash. And then the weekend numbers came in, and then the wave just flew back. Now the Flash blowback is so bad that James Gunn is being affected by it, even though he really had nothing to do with this film other than putting the stamp of approval of what reshoots were allowed to be used. But how many bots, like who's benefiting from these clicks of this pro and anti movie stuff at a very fragile time in Hollywood? We're, a year away from could be some dark times. And I mean dark times in the sense that there'll be no movies out because these strikes are still going on. And
everything's shutting down. All your favorite movies have shut down.
Yeah.
Everybody, like all the folks. What are the sites that talk about upcoming movie rumors going to do when nothing is being shot?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
it's like there's nothing left after that. Yeah.
What are these toxic bots going to talk about? Well, the wars are not going to. That's just not that entertaining to me. Like, I won't engage. I just refuse. I refuse to fight over entertainment. But people love it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, it's just like we're talking about. Like sites just create a narrative to get clicks. You know?
What was the movie? It was a couple weeks ago when I said, "Oh, it's bombing," and you're like, "It's not bombing."
The Little Mermaid.
Yeah. Did it? Like, what is it officially considered a bomb or not? I don't even know.
I don't think,
because I was just getting fed a bunch of stuff that was like, this isn't working.
I don't think it bombed. I think it didn't do as well as they thought or something, but it's still probably going to make like $500 million.
Yeah, it's creeping up at a $500 million worldwide.
That's not a bomb by any means.
No, not by any stretch.
They didn't make money. Okay, that's a thing. But I think like I said, it's the I don't know, the movie dirt sheet pages engaged now in adversarial opinion.
Yeah, and
that's what you do.
It's just gnarly. But, is James Gunn responsible for this?
No, I think there's a lot of reasons for this. Like to me, it's not. If you think about it, it makes total sense. You know what I mean? That this would happen.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons. Like,
they've been sitting on this movie for how many years?
Sitting on it for a while.
Yeah.
The lead actor carries the whole movie. Has had legal troubles. Okay. Yep. He's probably known. Your grandma knows him as the actor from the superhero movie that started a cult or something.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So there's all that's floating out there. I think the way they marketed this movie was almost too aggressive that people got tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, that's a good way to let's book Tom Cruise and Stephen King to put our movie over.
Yeah, that, and they showed it. They premiered it months ago, and they've been screening it for people ongoing for months to try and get people to talk about it. I think a lot of people that would have gone to see it already saw it for free.
Yep.
But I mean, it was a fine movie. I just think, people might be already done with this whole DC universe. I don't know. I also think Ezra Miller has never really proved super appealing as the Flash. I don't think that, I don't think he ever got over as the Flash.
Well, the best that he was in the Zack Snyder's Justice League, which is probably the least viewed of all the DC properties, right? Even though it's probably the best DC property that you've never seen. That's the only time you saw him. And he was an ensemble.
Yeah.
He didn't carry it himself.
Yeah.
Like this one, he had to carry it himself. This was not a Batman movie. Like a lot of people were booking this as this is a Batman movie. Do we want to throw a spoiler alert? They probably saw it, right?
People, dude, my button, the Incredible Tron is down.
But spoilers. Yeah, they probably saw it, but not one, not two, three Batman
in this movie.
But it still felt like he was. They were all working around what the Flash was doing. The Flash, the two Barry Allens were the stars of this movie.
Yeah.
Did you like the movie?
I liked it fine. I thought it was a good superhero movie. I thought it just worked well. I was entertained the whole way through. There was some laughs in there. I had no heat with it. The thing I had been hearing was everybody complaining about the really bad effects.
Yeah.
They are bad, but I guess I didn't care. I just I was like, you want really? How clear do you want that baby in a microwave to be?
Yeah,
How many times do you want me to render that, y'all? You want to see the baby super clearly. So what does it matter, right? Like how does that?
That was very uncomfortable. I don't know about you. I was very uncomfortable with that baby in the microwave.
Yeah, it's like
I was squirming.
Yeah,
I was squirming for sure. I took it as anytime the effects were bad, it's when he was in the Speed Force, when he was actually going fast, or when he was in the Chromo Bowl arena.
Yeah,
which it wasn't supposed to be clear
didn't bother,
as
didn't
I
bother
took
me.
it, but and those can't. Let's talk about the cameos because we wished right here on the show we made a short we needed to see Christopher Reeve and we got him, and that was another one that people are really got a lot of heat. Like the biggest trend on Flash is not Flash box office; it says the Flash CGI. If you search Twitter, that's the first suggestion.
Right.
I mean, obviously he passed. They did not do as well as Loomis in Halloween like we wanted, but it was there. And then Nicolas Cage, that wasn't CGI. That was really Nicolas Cage.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay, well that's fair.
Yeah.
The cameos are fine, but cameos don't add anything to the actual movie.
No,
it's become a gimmick, and it's like it doesn't really do anything. And they were fine.
Yeah. There was more. They cut so much more. They cut Linda Carter, Wonder Woman. They cut Cesar Romero and Burgess
This movie
Meredith.
feels like it was cut down to the bare bone because it moves. It's fast paced. Every scene matters. There's no downtime in this movie. I can't think of a single thing that I would even like I said the bad CGI. I don't care. I think it was fine.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. I'm over it already. I'm over it.
Yeah, I'm already done.
Yeah, it's just, but like, I just think that this movie had a cloud over it for a long time.
It did.
I think the marketing was maybe too aggressive that folks just got tired of it. I think, here's the best marketing drop ever, in my opinion. Here's my opinion, Jeff, and I bet you'll at least partially agree.
Yeah.
The best movie drop ever was Netflix at the Super Bowl.
Oh.
Cloverfield 3 after the game.
So good.
Good. That was it. That was awesome.
That was fantastic. I totally agree.
So I think instead of showing this movie months ago to people so they can build chatter and all the spoilers can get out or whatever, I feel like it would have been more effective to just be like, hold all your info, and then 2 weeks before you want to drop the trailer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then like, boom, and just like show people nothing. And get them in. Because I think people were just worn out from hearing about it.
I think you're right. And it was just, it had a tough road ahead of it. I loved it. I really did like it. But that being said, I liked it in the sense that I got to see a lot of things that I've been waiting for a long time. But I was also looking at this film. I fell for the one part of the narrative that this was going to be a reboot. This was going to be a reset. So to me, it was going to be goodbye for a lot of the characters. Sure. And I was excited to see, okay, what's this next step going to be? Because what happened with Shazam, which I think is going to unfortunately happen to Blue Beetle, and it's definitely going to happen to Aquaman, is, like you said, James Gunn was so aggressive that he made these movies feel like they didn't matter. And this was the only one that he kind of put an asterisk on. It kind of matters because that's going to be our official reset. But the other ones, like, why are you going to have any kind of emotional investment in there if you know that they're just going to be throwing them away? And I feel like that's what that end credit scene was trying to accomplish with Aquaman. No, Aquaman's still here, even though it was kind of like they could have done so much more with that end credit scene. But I liked the movie. It was great to see. And I liked the movie in the sense that the Flash stuff, it's fine. But I was happy to see Michael Keaton as Batman again. And I think he did a great job. And you know who the number one character in that movie was for me?
Supergirl.
Fantastic. I want a movie of her like immediately. She was so good.
Supergirl was the best thing in that movie. Yeah. Whatever, I would love to see a Supergirl movie.
Oh man, she was so Sasha Calle. Oh man, she was so like she was the bright spot of that. And I guess what worked out well is you didn't really know what to expect, and even wasn't until that first trailer that you knew she was even going to be in there.
Yeah.
But man, to me, she delivered. Like, she was a badass. Like, she was ready to face Zod. But then I didn't expect like a teased heel turn. Like, wait, I'm not a human. Screw you. I'm going to go see what, these Kryptonians are doing. Like, everything about that was so good. So I did enjoy the movie, but there was also that part of me of just like, what am I investing in here? I was investing in, okay, he said this is going to be a reboot. So whatever happens at the end, I knew there was going to be a swerve. You knew he was going to do something that was going to affect the timeline permanently with the tomato cans. But I didn't expect George Clooney. Did you expect that? You knew it was coming?
I got spoiled on it.
Oh,
and
you got
I
spoiled.
was like, oh, really? Okay. Yeah, we'll check it out. Sounds interesting enough. But it makes sense if is he going to be the Batman in the Brave and the Bold? Is that what's happening there?
No, that's what they said.
Which I got no heat with that if that's the case.
No, but they said he's not, and that's
then I don't get it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They took the opportunity to do the hard reset, and they screwed it up. This was their opportunity to do the Flash when you look up and you have, Charlton Heston and says, "Damn it." And you realize that the Statue of Liberty, like, you're still screwed. And the movie could have ended.
Yeah.
And man, that would have got people go to Aquaman. They would have just at that point, they would have wanted any little tidbit. Because you realize by him moving the tomato can, it didn't make big damage, but it did change a lot of things. And they blew that by a comedy gag. I have no heat with George Clooney.
Yeah.
And it accomplished what they were trying to accomplish, that nothing's ever going to be the same. But it just felt like it was too jokey to end on when I was expecting a universal reboot.
Yeah.
With approved reshoots, because the original ending of this scene was Michael Keaton getting out of the car, and then Gal Gadot and Wonder Woman, Gal Gadot showing up, and Henry Cavill showing up with Supergirl, with Kara Zor-El. They were all going to be there, and he's going to realize, oh, we're still kind of stuck. But that would have been if they stayed in the Rock's universe. Let's talk about that, because that was going to be the Rock's direction. That was the Rock's ending. And then although this movie made less than Black Adam, did you know that?
I did.
Yeah.
I heard that. Yeah.
So they're getting some heat for that. But if that was the Rock's ending, they would have been like, Henry Cavill is still in this.
Yeah.
And it would have wouldn't have been like a reboot. This one just kind of ended on a joke. And I think this movie was too important to end on two jokes. The ending was a laugh, and then the end credit scene was a laugh. And I was left more confused, rather than I wanted to have that Planet of the Apes moment of just like, then you start fantasy booking on what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
But we didn't get that. And is that James Gunn's fault? Because James Gunn is getting 50% heat on this.
I don't think he's to blame. I think he was working with the film. And then I think a lot of the reason that this is not working is because of the marketing.
Yeah.
And the fact that they probably built people's expectations way too high.
Oh, yeah. The greatest comic book movie of all time.
Yeah, that was way too much.
Yeah, that was way too much. I struggled with that, we were talking about with Across the Spider-Verse. I don't ever want to hear a film's going to be the greatest of all time, because then I'm too much of an optimist. And then even if it's really great, I'm going to be like, oh, I told you I needed to see Across the Spider-Verse the second time to realize how great it really was. But I went in there with, it was kind of like let the steam out of the balloon. So I don't know. I don't blame James Gunn for this. I blame, like you said, maybe some marketing decisions, but he still needs to take a swing at this. I don't blame the director, Andy Muschietti. People are like, oh, good job announcing that he's going to be directing Batman the Brave and the Bold after his film just bombed. I was like, this isn't his fault either.
Yeah.
I mean, he shot a film years ago. I mean, I don't think that he needs to take the heat for this either. I think the heat clearly falls on Ezra for committing crimes in real life as a superhero. I think he's responsible.
Well, yeah. I mean, he got a lot of bad press. That affects the movie,
Yeah.
That's a huge part. And I think they were trying to recover from that. They thought they could overcome it. Because the movie itself, if Ezra Miller was a babyface, that movie would be so over.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the movie would have got over. I think in the end,
He would have been able to go on Jimmy Fallon and promote it. You know what I mean? And do a game. And
man, did he not look like he was like hypnotized or something on that red carpet? Did you see him?
Yeah.
They're like, man, did they like sew his mouth shut? Like I think he answered some of the questions.
He only had approved words that he could say out loud.
Oh my god! What do you think? What do you think happens to him now?
I think this is probably the end of his career for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to get booked.
No.
So I think right now it's going to be slowly go away for a while and see if you can come back with some sort of like smaller indie thing, go back to your roots and see what you can do.
He's going to be the Vinny Chase Hollywood jail.
I think so.
Although he's not going. I mean, he's for Vinny Chase. It was bad movie choices, but for Ezra, I mean, it was true crime. Unfortunately,
bad life choices.
Yeah, very bad life choices.
But I think that's probably what's going to happen. I mean, there's no Flash 2 coming. Just didn't do well enough. And again, this movie had everything going against it.
Yeah. So as for everything that did go against it, I would have thought it would have had a little bit more. You know, just getting Michael Keaton to come back, I would have thought that was enough. But Hollywood's, everything's taking a beating right now.
Yeah.
Anthony brought this up. The industry needs to decentralize to not let reputation and personal lives get in the way of art. Here's the thing. We've said this before. Like De Niro and Pacino, right? They always did everything they can to hide their personal life.
Yeah.
And they did it for the art because, like, if you see me, going to Chili's or on social media, which didn't exist before, are you really going to be able to see me as these characters? You have trouble with that with The Rock, who's huge in social media, but The Rock is always The Rock.
Yeah.
He doesn't get lost in these roles because you can hear, you can see, you can feel The Rock. This is different times for actors than before. So the scrutiny is going to be there. You have to be squeakier clean or sneakier than ever to,
you have to
live your life.
Everyone's got phones, and there's an entire industry that just thrives on celebrity gossip. So
yeah,
they feed off of you,
Yeah.
Just waiting for you to do anything inappropriate that they can post.
And he didn't, and Ezra did multiple things.
Whatever is going on, like I want them to get their mental health together and all the help they need. It's great, but it's just unfortunate, like the way it went down, because I think their career is over for a while.
Yeah, I think he's definitely done for a while. I think Michael Keaton obviously stays unscathed. I think Sasha is going to stay I don't feel like they're going to be affected. I was surprised that they were trying to pull Anthony Macchetti. Is that how you say his name?
Machete?
Yeah. I was surprised that he was getting any kind of flack for this because I don't think there was anything wrong with that other than, I guess, as the director, would you get final say on just like how many times you're going to render that baby in the microwave?
It could have been a cost-cutting measure. They were like, let's just like save some on the effects. We've already spent all this and we're going to have to spend more on marketing. So it could have been. And then they're just like, they turned it into a style choice.
Yeah.
Because like the Muschietti, the director, was saying, it's like, I intended those effects to look cheesy because it's a comic book movie.
Yeah, that's not I would have bought it. He said, I intended them to look distorted because you're watching somebody travel faster than the speed of light.
Sure, and that's a way better. You should work for Warner Brothers PR.
That's all he had to say.
It's a way better explanation.
Because when he was in the Chromo Dome, that's exactly what I thought. Why Henry Cavill looked funny and they all looked funny. He's like, yeah, he's traveling so fast, faster than the speed of light. Everything's going to look a little distorted.
Yeah.
When you're underwater, things look distorted. When you're traveling faster than the speed of light, I've never done it to my knowledge, but I assume it's going to look a little distorted.
Yeah, that's fine. And again, the special effects, I think, were fine.
Yeah.
Like, they are not as good as, whatever. I don't know. I was watching, like, the first Avengers movie, and those effects looked really good. I think they had way more time to work on them back then, but it didn't really bother me that much that the effects were bad. I didn't care because the movie overall worked. Here's another factor, though, Jeff. I think there's lots of factors why this didn't work. We were thinking everybody's in it to see the Keaton Batman. But Keaton Batman was 33 years ago, 34 years ago.
Yeah, 89, right? Yep.
34 years ago was Keaton Batman. The target audience to this movie was not born for like 12 years after that.
Oh my God. Oh, when you put it that way. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
So they don't know about Keaton Batman. They don't care.
No.
And honestly, if you watch Keaton Batman now, it's pretty goofy. You know? It's got that Tim Burton vibe, which, I mean, he's never made a serious movie. His movies always got sort of a goofy vibe.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. No, 100%.
And it's just there. And I think Batman Returns is better, but that was not a draw for folks who are not 50.
No, you're right. This was the first time you're right. I think they skewed the audience for the older audience, because how many people knew about the whole, unless you saw the Kevin Smith documentary, The Death of Superman Lives, how many people knew about Nicolas Cage being booked as Superman with the giant spider?
Just nerds like us. Like nobody cares about that.
I was that's the first thing that I was listening for, and I heard it yesterday when I went to the theater. I didn't hear it today, and I heard it when I first walked out. You needed the one nerd that was in the group that said, "Do you know why they had Nicolas Cage in there?" And had to go through the whole story.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I'm sure like for the non-discriminating crowd, not the non-movie nerd crowd, probably didn't even occur to them that was Nicolas Cage.
No.
In that cameo, because the effects are so bad.
Yeah.
Nobody looked at that and automatically knew that's Nicolas Cage as Superman. How strange.
Yeah.
It was just, there's another Superman with long hair.
I enjoyed it. I mean, but again, like,
I feel like if Nick Cage would have done that Superman role, I bet he would have played it a little bit like his Con Air role.
Yeah, you're right.
Had the way to go. A little less of a southern accent.
For sure. And then I didn't expect it. The George Reeves Superman cameo didn't feel like a cameo, because that just felt like stock footage.
Yeah.
And I think at that point they just started rolling through stock footage. I wish they would have found a way to make it seem like we were looking back in time and not actually watching stock footage. But I didn't know if that's possible to do it.
It looked like worse than stock footage, I feel like. It looked like what was that movie? Like Young Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
The very first digital effect ever, where he fights that window painting or whatever.
Oh, that's right.
And it's like super flat. That's what Christopher Reeves as Superman looked like to me.
Yeah.
Like just a flat, non-dimensional thing. Like if you turned him on his side, he'd be flat. You would see just a single flat line.
Yeah. I mean, and you know,
cardboard cutout. It was a cardboard cutout.
Spider-Verse could get away with it, right? Because it was animated.
Right.
So you can do those, but it didn't work here. I still popped because, like I said, I was happy to see it, but I really was actually surprised that Helen Slater showed up. Like, I did not expect that. Yes. But again, she was also a
She's
victim.
the only other Supergirl. I mean, I guess they could have got Melissa Benoit from the show.
Oh yeah, yeah. But no,
it is kind of a weird decision to put them together because they were never in the movie.
They were never in the movie. Like he pulled out of that. He was going to have a cameo in that, and he pulled out.
Yeah.
So they were never together. So, but it was fun. Again, those were wink, wink fun for Gen X. Thank you, Anthony Muschietti, for taking care of Gen X. You know, but now you got to worry about the next generations to pull those in. And unfortunately, they had Twitter. I don't blame him. I blame Ezra. I mean, but it is what it is. I still enjoyed the film. I feel bad, like you said. You know, he clearly needs help. But seeing, like you said, if he was a babyface and if he was out there doing good things, this movie would have done way better.
Yeah.
It would have done way better. But again, I think I need to go see that one again, too. I think I need to see that one. Just now that the steam has been let out of the balloon, I need to see that with eyes of just like, I don't have to look for different things. Michael Shannon was saying something that he played this role a little bit different. Did it feel different from his Man of Steel? I guess it did feel a little bit less personal. Like Man of Steel felt personal because you got their entire backstory. This one just felt like this was business.
Well, this is another reason I think folks are not enjoying the movie. Like, if you're a Flash fan, when does Flash fight Zod in the comics?
You're right. No,
Is that a thing? Like, why do they have the Flash fighting Zod?
that's true.
Why couldn't you do a Flash villain?
Right? Yeah, and they
Because
could.
I guess because the intention was always to just reboot this universe,
Right.
so they wanted to like button it all up together from the first movie to the last.
I guess they needed that unstoppable hero. Like what I when I think of Flash villains, I think Captain Cold and Gorilla Grodd. But maybe they just wanted to go with the Kryptonian, that they wanted to go with a villain that nobody could stop, because clearly the only one that could have stopped it was Supergirl. That's the only thing I can think of. But you're right. There wasn't there was an opportunity for Reverse Flash, which was in there, and that was the rumor. And then they kind of had a weird version of it when it was just Barry Allen again with all this Kryptonian stuff that he just kept getting stabbed and going back in time and trying to fix it.
That was the Dark Flash. Right?
Yeah. Which I guess that's the closest you got to a villain, but that it still didn't feel villainy. It just felt like somebody that was just desperate. That was a desperate hero, which I guess you could call a villain, but you're right. I mean, it could be off-putting that it was a Superman main villain that was fighting the Flash, and the Flash did no chance.
You don't. It's like every superhero movie. Part of it is introducing a villain for your superhero to fight. You need a baby face and a heel, and they just recycled Zod from another movie. It makes sense for what their intentions were to like reboot everything, but it makes the movie just a less appealing idea.
What is Zack Snyder thinking about all of this? It's just like, for telling me that my universe is canceled, every single project that you've had since you told me this has had one of the characters that I've helped build.
Well, he had all the marbles. That's the thing. I mean, he was the guy, right? And it's like, if you go back, Man of Steel's not that bad. I don't know why people don't like it.
No, it's not bad at all.
I was fine with it. Like, I think that was a good beginning, but they just overcorrected so bad that they threw everything off alignment. You know what I mean?
They did.
And they're still feeling the effects because, like these movies are still doing Zack Snyder stuff, which I don't understand why. But like, I think this one, like I said, it finally nailed the formula that it was going for. They did a DC Marvel movie. You know what I mean? Finally.
Yep.
Totally worked, and it's the lowest box office they've ever done.
And the irony is that, this movie was built on multiverse. And if this would have came out when it was originally, they would have been first to right? We have our 3 multiverse movies. We have Into...
Oh, right, because they were doing Flashpoint first.
Yeah, Flashpoint would have came first. Way before Quantumania, way before Loki 2, way before Multiverse of Madness, and then way before Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse, you would have had Michael Keaton's Batman explaining the multiverse. And now it felt like he was a little bit late to the party. Although, did you notice that he explained it different than they did in Endgame when they started talking about how time travel works? And he's just like, it's just a big spaghetti mess.
I did notice that.
I didn't. It felt like it's like you may have seen it in a movie.
Right. He specifically.
I don't know if it was making fun of that, or if he was making fun of Back to the Future. Back to the Future gets another comic book time travel shout out. It got a shout out in Endgame, and now it got a big shout out. It was a big part of the plot. Was Eric Stoltz? I did not expect that.
Yeah, another one for the nerds, though.
Again, how many people know about that?
Yeah, I don't think anybody in the average, non-discriminating movie crowd is like, what? What are they talking about?
Did you pop though a little bit when?
It was great for me
when they talked about the butterfly effect. So who went on? So what did Kevin Bacon went on to do?
Top Gun.
I thought that was cool. I did enjoy it. There's a lot of element. Here's the thing: we go to these movies to be entertained, and I did have fun.
It's a very entertaining movie.
I had fun. Great. I had no regrets.
Yeah, it's just past its prime, held too long, oversold, overcrimed, Just everything that could possibly go wrong with this movie went wrong with this movie. It just sucks that it also happened to be really, really good.
Yeah.
And they finally got it right. They got it done. And everybody's like, they already stopped paying attention. They've already stopped paying attention.
So you made a comic book movie.
Yeah.
What do you think is going to happen to Blue Beetle?
I think Blue Beetle has a chance, man.
You do?
If they can keep it isolated in its own little universe, if it gets over, if it's good, I think it has possibility. It's got Hispanic characters. It's got some appeal, some draw.
Yeah.
George Lopez looks like he could be funny in it. That could be good. So if they could turn this into a little nugget of a small superhero universe for Miguel, I think it could work. It could work.
It could.
James
Gunn announced that Blue Beetle is the first official DCU character, but the Blue Beetle movie is not a DCU movie.
I don't understand.
He's trying so hard. He's like, I guess that I took it as that is gonna be your Blue Beetle going forward, but this movie may not be his origin story, and I think that's what's confusing people.
Okay, yeah. I mean, what does it matter? Just don't even tell us what you're gonna put out. Just put out the trailers.
Yeah,
that's the thing. And again, I think everybody would benefit. This is my PSA to the world, all of us. Let's all close our browsers and just stop caring about what's coming out and just wait for the trailer to hit. Let's give ourselves that joy back. Remember the joy of seeing a trailer? It's like, oh, this is coming out. We need that back.
I wanted to be quiet because amen, Murphy. I just wanted to take it in. I wanted to drink it in because there's nothing like seeing a trailer in the theater that you didn't get to see it on your phone or anything first. And all of a sudden you're like, I've been waiting for this. And you didn't know it was going to drop. That's a beautiful feeling. We need to recreate that. You know what that feels like? That feels like a blockbuster on a Friday night. You remember that feeling?
That's a great feeling. Let me take you back to, spring 1989. When that first Batman trailer hit.
Oh, man.
The first Keaton Batman, and there's like no dialogue in it.
Right.
Yep.
That was so good.
You need moments like that to be.
And you couldn't go back and rewatch it when you got home?
No, you couldn't.
You couldn't. You had to go the next time you went to the theater. That's when you said it.
Anyway, but
those were good times.
I just think, just let's all stop caring. Let's all stop trying to figure out what's going to happen in the movie. Den of Nerds, shut down. No, I'm just kidding. You do great stuff. But I'm just saying, let's all just let the movies happen and maybe we can enjoy them some more.
We have to because there's no way I fall victim to it too. You go in with these expectations.
Yeah.
When we just had nothing but hope. Do people go in with not the desperate type of hope of please make this work, of just like the wonderment of walking in, like, what am I about to walk into and see?
Yeah.
Like nobody can do that. And now we have to suffer 2 more fingers crossed, hold on to your butts DC movies at a time where Hollywood is so fragile, because we're talking about DC being fragile. Marvel's on the ropes. They're so fragile right now. Listen to this. Would you have thought that in the same weekend, The Flash and the new Pixar movie would have both tanked? And they did. I think people are just... Hollywood's on the ropes, man.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't think they're going to tank. I think Flash will probably still make its money back.
Right.
Elemental, I don't know what it's just lower than it's been.
Yeah.
And so people are not coming out the way they used to for this stuff. Pixar is because, I hate to say it, but Pixar is an old brand. It's time they're going to have to
refresh.
Put some juice into that one and refresh and get some young blood going. Someone pointed this out on the internet, and I thought it was really funny. It's like all the Pixar movies coming out are always about standing up to your parents, which is like the plot of every Pixar movie. I was like, that's true.
Parents just don't understand, man.
But you've got look, the 2 biggest movies of the year are animated movies: Super Mario Brothers and Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
So it's just like animation is doing something different now, and Pixar is classic Coke. you know, and people want cherry, vanilla, peach, whatever.
They want it. They want that freestyle machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. You called it when you're just like everything's blue globs, and then you're like, wasn't there another blue glob movie?
There is another blue glob.
There
movie.
is. I didn't really. It's. I was a teenage Kraken.
Yeah, there you go.
And I was like, oh, that's what Mario was talking about. That's the blue glob he was talking about. They just need, they 100% need a refresh. But they had their founder kind of went off the rails too, right? And didn't he get canceled? And
Yeah, I think some of their
so what is Disney going to do, man? They bought all these brands and they corporatized them, right? Because we know Star Wars is the credibility's on the rope, Marvel's credibility's on the rope. Now Pixar's not. What do they do? Like, what does Disney do? Like, how do they recover? Can they recover from this? Do they cut bait? Do they just learn to put a sock in it and, like you said, just take their time with movies? Like, what's the answer here?
I mean, I don't really know what the answer is. I just think that people's tastes are changing.
Yeah.
So they need to adjust. It's time to adjust to that, and or at least whatever because I mean they have a product. They got wholesome family entertainment, right?
Yeah.
With lessons in there, and don't let your dad tell you can't do what you want. Your parents can't hold you down. But anyway, it's like they have a brand, and I just don't know that it's not appealing to people. And then you've got to also take into account that they kind of got screwed in the pandemic because Disney put all their stuff on the Disney Plus.
In their Disney Plus.
And now they're back in theaters, and it's like, well, I'm not going to. Why would I would just wait? It's on Disney Plus in a month.
That's what I was wondering. Is like, do you feel like it's just a lot of people that are? We've been threatened for a long time that when are people going to stop going to the movies? Do you think there's a big crowd of people that's still not going back to the movies, just out of habit?
No, I think people are going to the movies, but by the way, we like the studios release stuff. They're training people to expect things in a certain way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think, again, I've said this before. Right now, the Marvel movies, I think part of the reason they're suffering is because they devalued their movies with a bunch of TV shows.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that it's going to come to Disney Plus eventually. But also, it's just like, oh, there's all these other TV shows. It just feels less special.
Yeah, because remember how the first Disney drop? I mean, I know it was during lockdown, but how special it felt like that we were going to get WandaVision on TV. And I liken it to the same feeling that I got like, wow, I can't believe we're going to have a TV show about zombies. That's only done in movies.
Right.
It was that special feeling.
Right.
And that feeling is gone. The thrill is gone for that. Like, did you even know? I'm going to test you. Did you even know that there was a new Marvel Disney show dropping tomorrow?
I knew something was coming. The Secret Wars?
Secret Invasion.
The Secret Invasion?
And it hit me last week that I was like, wow, this is coming up next week. Before, when these shows were dropping, you knew the exact day they were dropping.
Yeah.
I had no idea. There was a couple of weeks ago, you could watch the first 10 minutes if you hacked into a website and put in this password. Like they're getting gimmicky with their marketing, and that's not going to work. So I don't know what the show is going to do.
I was watching some trailers or whatever about it, just to kind of see what it was. I mean, I kind of know what it is, obviously. I mean, I follow all the Marvel stuff.
Yeah.
But here's one thing I noticed, and I don't think anyone's going to tune into this show, and I'll tell you exactly why. In every bit of information, video, trailers I've seen for this, there's not a single superhero.
No, you're right.
In anything that they show.
Yeah.
Why what are you telling people to tune in for here?
Right.
You can't do that.
That's a good point, that you're not clear, because I don't know if the average person is clear on who were the heels
because they were baby faces in Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
So I don't know that this is selling anything to folks. I think people, it's just like, oh, it's the Sam Jackson show, and he's like a detective or something.
Right.
It's just like, why would people hop over to that? There's so many other choices.
I think one of the marketing things that's being pushed back there is backfiring a little bit. They're like, this is to Marvel what Andor was to Star Wars, which Andor was a great show, but a lot of people did not watch Andor.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people did not watch Andor.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I would be telling people that either. So I'm gonna check it out. I mean, I give everything a swing. I'm a little bit more forgiving than, like you said, a lot of these movie dirt sheets and sites that are just so unforgiving and they just get so angry. What generation is doing this? Like, I don't feel like that's the true film fans generation. I feel like the ones that you really need to be focused on, which I guess would be Gen Z, they're going to Fathom Events to watch anime. Like, they're watching all this stuff that has nothing to do with like a lot of these main brands. Like, it takes a lot to cross over. And what has crossed over across generations are the two that you mentioned. Super Mario Brothers, which, I mean, I put that as timeless, right? Because everybody who's ever played a game knows who Mario is.
Yeah.
And, Across the Spider-Verse, which I called American anime, that it feels so different. The emotional stakes in there were way different. And I just feel like they're missing a lot of these emotional stakes that are going to lure this new generation out to the theaters to watch these IPs that used to mean a lot. They used to mean a lot. I mean, it meant, to me, I was shocked knowing Quentin Tarantino, not knowing him personally, but everything he said, right? You knew that he was the type of person that was collecting comic books when he was a kid, and he wanted to do those. And now he won't touch a movie like that because they've become something different. He's kind of like a good theatrical litmus test, because the two big moments that I told you about was one that he's like, I don't give a fuck about Disney Star Wars. I want George Lucas Star Wars. Otherwise, I don't care. And then this second one where it's just like, he came out against comic book movies. Do you think I think that's a good litmus test, because he is the master of the theatrical experience.
I mean, he's extremely knowledgeable of Hollywood in general.
Yeah.
He knows the cycles. He knows what works. That's how he was always able to manage his career so well. It's like he just understood it. He read so much about it and everything. I feel like we are inundated now with superhero entertainment because it works. People like it.
Yeah.
Just like they like comic books. I feel like even if you weren't into comic books as a kid, superhero stuff still even expanded further. So you would still, we could still be into it. There was like toys, trading cards, video games. There was other stuff for you to do with superheroes.
Right.
So I mean, they're just got that popularity.
Good point.
But now it's like they've done them all already for about 10, 20 years. Is it 15 years? They've done them all. And now they're to the point where it's like we're nearing the hard reset. We're start over.
I think they're due.
So I think we're just at that moment where the last big trend is waning in popularity, and it's time to let it go and start anew.
And just try something different.
And that's why Super Mario Brothers is over. No one had ever seen that. And that's can I just be real? It was bad, right? Like, it wasn't good. It was not good.
I wanted it to be way better.
Yeah. It's definitely not gonna will it get nominated for best animated movie? I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably will.
Oh, yeah, I think
because from a technical standpoint, it's amazing. But you didn't watch that movie and leave energized. And be like, wow, what a great piece of art. It was like, that was a movie.
Yeah, you got it done.
You got it done. You made a Mario Brothers movie.
I guess it had enough of the Remember Barry's nostalgic charm for its
but again
for its audience.
This is our opinion, and we have skewed opinions.
Yeah.
Okay. The average person, the non-discriminating movie public, went in there and was like, wow, this is amazing. Super Mario Brothers as a movie. You know what I mean? Because it made so much money.
You're right.
They went back over and over. It's, like I said, you see that video of Charlemagne the God talking about it. He was like, it was beautiful.
Well, like Anthony said here, it did have a charm that helped carry it through a lot of, like you said, what was lacking in story. It made up for in charm, and I think that helped it.
Oodles of charm.
Yeah.
Oodles of charm. Great visuals.
Good nods to all the games,
Like-
and that's what everybody wanted.
Like, again, I've said how I wish they didn't do celebrity voiceovers, but this one nailed it with the celebrity voices. Right
Yeah.
on the money. You had Donkey Kong. They had Mario Kart in there.
Yeah, they had Mario Kart.
Just
Luigi's Mansion was in there. That was good.
Yeah.
Which is popular. But you can't compare it again. If you're talking about what's going to win the Oscars, you can't compare it to Across the Spider-Verse, which probably is going to take it this year for sure. But
It'll take that one, and like I said, I think it could get nominated for best overall picture.
after my second pass for it, I see what you're saying now. It kind of won me over. The emotional stakes without having that sound break, and just FYI, they really did send a fixed version out there, because the first film that I saw compared to the second one were two completely different films.
Yeah.
We didn't have to have the projectionist rewind it, then rewind it too far, and then the sound was still bad, and then it was always a little off. This was a clean version that unable to pull you out of the moment. And then, because you want those emotional stakes to have that gravitas. And if you're cut off where a light turns on, just like they say, that could distract. That's happened big time.
Yeah.
But there was so much, the emotional stakes were there.
And I think the writing is so wonderful.
Yeah.
Like, the way that they scripted this movie, the way things pay off, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The seeds they plant early that pay off later. And I just think it's really saying something, the way it sets up the final twist with Miles, because you've had the issue has been his dad, whether or not he can save his dad, right?
Yep.
And that's the main thrust, but it's like when you see the universe where his father died and he turned to crime, it's just like, wow, they're just like saying a lot here.
Yeah, that
they're
was
really,
big.
They're really going hard in the writing.
That's what he's fighting to save, or else that could be kind of his future. Yeah, it was great. I was way more emotionally involved that second time with that undisturbed moment for sure. So, but I don't know if that's going to be like the next wave, of how do they fix the, I don't want to say it, but it's there, the whole superhero fatigue. It's coming up on generations, our generations, right? The Gen X generation. We were introduced to superheroes by comic books, by beautiful cards like this, games, stuff that really led to your imagination. Now you're pulling people to the theater. Like the average Miles Morales fan was introduced to him through the Sony PlayStation game, which had an intricate story already kind of built in there. So now they're expecting a lot more. You're not going against their imagination. You're going against what they already got. So you're not just going to be able to shovel out just any old generic origin story, and that's what Miles Morales didn't do. And this is what I feel like the Flash would have accomplished if it didn't have its other heat. You got to get away from these origin stories. You have to just... This audience, the new audience coming up, are so much more sophisticated because of anime that you have to really raise. The stakes have to be raised. You cannot spoon feed them. They're ready for forks and knives. You can't spoon feed them.
Yeah, I agree. And like if you read comics, if you read comics, not every comic has an origin story in it.
No.
It's like eventually we just have to leave that in the past. I think people already are accustomed to the fact that every hero has an origin story, so they can just jump past it right into the heroing.
Yeah, if you do it in Flash, that's probably the thing that I'm nervous about Blue Beetle the most, is it feels like it's going to be an origin story. It's a cool enough hero that it could be forgiving, but I think you said this before, it felt like a movie that should have kind of come out already. And I think that has a lot to do with what we were trained with origin stories. And I don't know if that's going to work, but I'm still, again, I say that as someone, don't worry, you already have my money.
Yeah.
We're going no matter what.
Right.
Before we jump off our superhero film brain, what did you think about the Kraven the Hunter trailer and poster that dropped today with Aaron Taylor Johnson with Sony taking another swing at their Spider-Verse?
I texted it to you. LOL is what I thought. All caps with an exclamation point. I think what's going on here, it occurred to me that Sony sort of got lucky by putting out a movie and turning Venom babyface, which is like, I think that's what they're trying to do now with their other properties.
Yeah.
Is just spin out these villains into, what are they called? I don't know.
Anti-heroes.
Anti-heroes.
Yeah.
And trying to dig for gold and see what they can do. I thought the movie looks like I wouldn't see it probably. Not because it's bad. The story itself doesn't seem appealing on its own accord. It's like if at the end of the trailer they're like, I'm going to fight Spider-Man now. I think I might have done that, but...
That I don't even know if they're going to mention Spider-Man. And there's pro wrestling went through this. There's only one Stone Cold. Like, you can have the cool heels that you cheer for, but not everybody can be that. And I think they booked the right actor. It was good to see him back in there. Somehow he had 10 abs. Can you have 10 abs? How many abs does the body have?
I think it has over 12.
Because somewhere along the way we upgraded, because you used to talk about the 6-pack.
Yeah.
Then you started seeing people with like 8. Now
Yeah.
it's 10. So are we going to get all the way up to 12? But if that picture, which they did a really good job replicating that very famous picture of Kraven the Hunter that everybody knows when he's kind of sitting back and you saw his 10 abs there. So they booked the right actor, but this could Morbius real quick, and I was shooting on Sony a couple of weeks ago on the show because they make me nervous. They make me really nervous.
Yeah, sure.
So, I don't know.
I just think their film division needs some help.
Yeah.
Killing it in the cartoon division, Sony Animation. But again, it's like they have this giant universe. They got lucky with Venom, and it's still kind of going, so they're trying to hit that gold again. I don't know. Nothing really seems here appealing. And the thing is, I don't think this has any intention of appealing to us. We're not the demographic.
Yeah.
It's the average moviegoer. Can they convince them with this story of a hunter who bites people's noses off?
He did bite his nose.
That's in the trailer? That was awkward.
He's a heel, but it made it really rough that, clearly Russell Crowe, his dad, was a heel. So I don't know if they're going to say but that was the whole thing, right? The whole Darth Vader gimmick of every journey has a first step.
Yeah.
And they're going to do that, but man, I just don't know if it's going to. Again, I'm really nervous.
It's going to be bad. You don't have to be nervous. Let me assure you right now, it's going to be bad. You're not going to enjoy it. I probably won't go see it. I just wait till it hits stars or something. You're going to go see it at the Thursday show.
Yeah.
First early show. The crowd will be dead. It'll be unenjoyable. And, and that'll be it. That'll be the end of the Kraven movie.
That is to tell that when you get those hardcore fans and you see if they pop. They did not pop in Multiverse, and it hasn't felt the same since.
Yeah,
I just feel like we've been reeling ever since. So I'm nervous about that, but we'll see. 10 abs, who knew?